Hi there, my name is Kevin Todd, and today we're going to be looking at the vocal harmonies to Seven Bridges Road, originally by Steve Young, but most famously covered by the Eagles. This song is so beautiful, and I'm so excited to be sharing it with you today. Let's get into it. And just before we get started, if you do like this video, please do give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. I really like doing these types of videos, and I really want to keep sharing them with you. So please subscribe for more awesome music, singing, one-man band stuff. So if you want to skip my introduction to this video, just go to this timestamp. If you want to skip my pre-song Pep Talk, go to this timestamp here. Seven Bridges Road is a song with a lot of different versions, but the first one was done in 1969 by Steve Young. This version is a lot different than what we know this song to be today. It's a lot slower, it's in 3/4 time, and there's hardly any of the vocal harmonies that we know the song to have today. A little bit after Young's version, an English singer by the name of Ian Matthews did his cover of the song, his version having those vocal harmonies that we know and love today. This version is what the Eagles then base their rendition of this song on, and the Eagles version is just out of this world. It's so good. Funny thing is, the Eagles version that we know today may not even exist if the dice of history were rolled any differently. Before the release of Hotel California, the Eagles would actually start every concert with this song. 5 voices around 1 microphone and blowing everyone's mind, I imagine. And so the version of the song that was recorded wasn't a traditional studio recording. It was actually recorded live at the Santa Monica Civil Auditorium on July 28th, 1980. 2 days before the band officially broke up on July 30th, 1980. So there's a reality not too distant from ours where the version of Seven Bridges Road that we know and love does not exist. Frankly, I don't want to live in that reality. Now, since the Eagles released their version of the song, there have been a slew of covers, artists like Home Free and even Dolly Parton doing a beautiful rendition of this song. But for today, we're going to be looking at the Eagles version for 3 reasons. First is it's my favorite version, and it's my video, and I can do what I want. Second reason, it's the most popular version. Third reason is I find it's the simplest version. And if we can master this rendition, then applying what we know to all the other versions of this song is going to be so much easier and so much more effective. So that's my introduction. Let's now look at some things to think about when you are learning, recording, or performing Seven Bridges Road in the style of the Eagles. Before I say any of these tips, the 0th tip is that this is not a perfect deconstruction of Seven Bridges Road by the Eagles. Like in my previous harmony analysis video, I learned these songs by ear, so there's going to be some imperfections. It's going to be really, really close, but I cannot guarantee perfection. Now, the actual tips. Tip number 1, try and get 5 different singers to sing the parts rather than overdubbing one voice 5 times. I find that there's a huge difference in tone color, in beauty, honestly, between a version that has 5 different singers locked in tune versus an individual singer who's done all 5 parts themselves. Having just one voice record all 5 parts really gives a lack of depth, of tone, honestly a lack of imperfection that makes a song as melodically simple as this so beautiful and so unique. So definitely try to get 5 friends to sing this song with you. I don't have any friends, so I am breaking tip number 1 straight away, but you will not. Tip number 2, this is a tip that applies to all singers singing any song, but it especially applies to this song. Take a big breath before every line you sing. This song is 3 chords and held notes. Your voice needs to be supported, it needs to be powerful, needs to be in tune, needs to be controlled. All of that is achieved with a deep breath before every single line. Do not forget to take that deep breath. Tip number 3. This is the exact same tip as tip number 2 in my Sweet Judy Blue Eyes video. If you ever get lost, look up a chord sheet and sing one of the notes in the chord that's being played at that time. You will be singing a note that one of the 5 singers are singing. Every time. With the exception of a couple transition notes, every single note that is sung in this song is of the chord that is played at that time. Let me show you an example. Alrighty. I'm operating on a lower budget. I do not have 2 cameras anymore. Live with it. So this song is in the key of D, but it has a flat 7, so it's D mixolydian. And the chords of the song are D major, C major, and and G major. So if we look at the very first line of the song, there are stars in the southern sky. Let's break down exactly what each singer is singing. Starting at the top with Timothy B. Schmidt, he starts on a high A, which is the 5th of the D chord. There. He then goes down to a G, which is the 5th of C. There are stars. He then stays on a G, because the chord being played is a G, in the sun. And the last note he sings is D. Southern sky, because the D chord is being played. So his line goes, there are stars in the southern sky. Simple as following the chords. And that's the case for every part in this song. Lastly, tip number 4. This is more of an opinion, but I believe the secret to making this song sound absolutely beautiful is not necessarily in the blend of voices, but more in the balance of voices. Let me explain. If you're able to get all 5 of your voices perfectly in tune and perfectly level in volume, it's going to sound so beautiful for about 20 seconds. Then it's going to sound repetitive, boring, stale, not great. One of the things that I love about the Eagles recording is that unless you know the Steve Young version, it's impossible to tell who has the melody because the main voice constantly switches around. At times, Glenn Frey's mid voice is the one that's most prominent. Other times, Don Henley's voice, the one that's just above his in the harmony chain, is the one that comes out the strongest. Other times it's Timothy B. Schmidt's voice that rings out on some of those high D5s. Sometimes it's even some of the lower harmonies, like Joe Walsh's, the one that's right below Glenn Frey's. The point is, the balance between the voices shift. Sometimes key parts are brought forward more, then retreat back when other lines are a little bit more interesting. The point is, play around a little bit with the balance of the voices. Don't just strive for perfectly even harmony all the way, because that will get very stale very fast. Play around a little bit with the leveling. It will really pay off in the end. So that's all I have to say about this song. Now let's get into the actual parts. What's going to happen is I'm going to play each major section of this song, followed immediately by the 5 different vocal parts, starting from low to high. And once again, if you did like this video, please do drop it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. I also have some music out, and yes, it is also full of harmonies. So if you want to support me in that regard, please go to the links down below to check out some of my original music. But enough shameless plugs and talking, let's get into the video. There are stars in the southern sky, southward as you go. There is moonlight and moss in the trees, down the 7 bridges road. There are stars in the southern sky, southward as you go. There is moonlight and moss in the trees, down the 7 bridges road. There are stars in the southern sky, southward as you go. There is moonlight in the trees, down the 7 bridges road. There are stars in the southern sky, southward as you go. There is moonlight and moss in the trees, down the 7 bridges road. There are stars in the southern sky, southward as you go. There is moonlight and moss in the trees, down the 7 bridges road. There are stars in the southern sky, southward as you go. There is moonlight and moss in the trees, down the 7 bridges road. Sometimes there's a part of me has to turn from here and go, running like a child from these warm stars, down the 7 bridges. There are stars in the southern sky, and if ever you decide you should go, 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 and if ever you decide you should go.